Hello, beautiful people. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Aaron Lynn from Aaron Lynn Real Estate Services here. Time for your monthly market update for June 2026. So we got some oddball numbers this month. If you're a seller, you're probably not going to love anything I have to say. If you're a buyer, you're going to recognize some of the verbiage from past couple months, like still outrageously expensive here, but it's a better time to be a buyer than it has in many, many years. And although we're not seeing prices exactly greater, we're seeing a lot of sales not happening. We're seeing a whole lot of listings, very few sales. So this can be a really good opportunity to capitalize on a soft market, especially in the condo market, or to upsize. And I'll talk about all that in a sec. First things first, big picture numbers. So we had 713 sales in the Victoria Real Estate Board in May. That's not exactly out of the ballpark. It's at the lower end of the spectrum. Normally there's, anywhere between 750, maybe 800 sales. So it's familiar territory. It's just a little light. What's really important is we're now past 4,000 listings in the Victoria Real Estate Board. So 700 sales, 713 sales sounds like a lot, but if I told you only 17% of things sold last month, that's not a terribly robust number. This time of year, you might expect 40 or 50% of things to sell any given month. So the fact that we're out of 100 things for sale, 17 sold, that's a really dismal number and something that a lot of realtors are paying attention to, and I hope certainly a lot of buyers are paying attention to. I'm not sure sellers are getting the memo. We're seeing a lot of things that are priced too high and just sitting. We're seeing a lot of things canceled and relisted and canceled and relisted and canceled and relisted, like earth to seller, lower your price. The market will ultimately dictate the price, and it's not what it was 3 years ago. So if you're pricing it like it's the top of the market, congratulations, you've priced it to keep. You can price it to sell it, or you can price it to keep it. And if you bought it in the last 5 years and you didn't make any changes to it, expect to sell a loss. Otherwise, congratulations, you get to keep it. I hate to be curt, but I need to be, pretty obvious what's going on here, and I just want to be direct and I want to be honest. So just dialing back to that 713 sales. Getting into late spring, early summer, we would expect more sales than April, and indeed we had about 11% more sales than we did last month. We had 6% fewer sales than May 2025. So fewer sales and about 10% more listings. It should be pretty obvious the direction in which we're trending. What's interesting is the sales volumes and sales prices are always a bit askew. So home sales were down about 4% year after year, but price-wise, houses were actually 0.3% more expensive this time of year. I know I said this last month, but that tells me the nicer houses are selling, and the things that aren't competitively priced or need a lot of work are just sitting there, and they're probably going to be relisted and just, go through that kind of rinse and repeat cycle. Condos are another matter. So condo sales volumes are taking a big hit. They were down about 15% year over year. Now that's a really big number and a number to pay attention to. They were only down a couple of percent in price, but again, I think that reflects that the nicer condos are being sold and probably being sold at a discount. There's a lot of condos I'm seeing that are, in other times we would say they're basically giving them away. But when you factor in the high strata fees and the amount of work that needs to be done that's reflected in the depreciation reports, they're not really such great value. I want to take just a moment here and talk about new construction, because right now I really don't think there's a whole lot of value in buying new construction. Where I do think there's a lot of value is buying something that's relatively new construction, so built within 5 years or less. There's been a number of townhouse developments and condo developments that have gone up in the last few years, and people generally move and think in 5-year timelines. So if they got a new property 5 years ago, they're probably needing to remortgage. Maybe there's a job transfer, maybe there's a divorce. Any number of those reasons will cause somebody to sell. Buying a brand new condo is like buying a brand new car. It's not necessarily where the best value is, but getting a new car that's a couple of years old, or a new condo that's a couple of years old, to use the car analogy, it's a little bit like a lease return. It's still new, it's still flashy, it's still exciting, but the main value kind of loss has already been, the hit has already been taken. Developers sell at a top price, so you're not paying that top price, but you've probably still got a warranty. You've probably still got a lot of years left before you have to do anything even cosmetic. So that can be, and if people are selling within 5 years, it's a bad time to sell. They'll probably have to sell. So that can be an opportunity to really capitalize on both the market and somebody's sort of individual circumstances. I'm not, I don't feel great saying that. You don't necessarily want to take huge advantage of somebody who wants to sell, but you want to have your eyes open and look for, if a title has like multiple mortgages on it, that can be a great invitation to put forward a lowball offer, and you're not going to insult them. They're going to be happy that they're getting an offer, and they're probably going to be really eager to work with you because, as I just said, 83 of the other 100 houses that are for sale aren't getting offers, or at least aren't getting offers that are going to come to fruition. The only other thing I want to talk about is sort of whether you're upsizing or downsizing or making a bit of a lateral move. It can be a really, really good time to upsize. Even if you're not getting as much for your property as you want, if you're upsizing, the value of the property that you're going after has probably come down and significantly more than what your property has adjusted by in this slower market. If you're making a lateral move, I know it can hurt to sell and pay property transfer taxes and all that fun stuff, but you're riding the same wave. You're basically selling low, you're buying low. So not the worst. If you're changing your location or the configuration or whatever it is, this can be a great time to, you're taking a bit of a hit, but if you're moving into something better, you're also getting a bit of a bargain on that. What I really wouldn't recommend anybody trying to do right now is downsize. If your property is, in the higher value bracket or maybe overvalued, you will have seen a significant loss in terms of market value right now. Honestly, I think if you can wait a couple of years, you're not going to regret waiting. I don't see this market turning around anytime soon, but we basically have more inventory than we've had in the last 11 years. Prices are lower than they've been the last 3 or 4 years. If that sounds like the top of the market to you, I'd be surprised. You never know when we're at the bottom of the market until the bottom's already passed. So I'm not saying we're at the bottom of the market. I'm just saying if you don't have to sell, don't. And if you're looking to buy, there are opportunities abound. Good time to connect with me or connect with your realtor and talk about what your options might be. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to watch some of my other videos on YouTube or check out my newsletter, and we'll see you next time.